Dice is on the beat.
My loves, welcome back to my channel. I hope all is good and I hope all is well. So in today's video, we're going to be doing an how-to video, kind of step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to walk you guys through how I personally do my eyebrows. I will link and list all of the products that I use in the description box below. So in case you forget any product or any brush that I use, everything you need to know will be in the description box below. I just kind of wanted to do an how-to video on eyebrows because it was one of the last things that I kind of learned how to do when I was teaching myself through YouTube, because it can be kind of difficult and overwhelming to learn how to fill in your brows, let alone clean them up and everything that comes with it. And it was like a lot of pressure because you know, the whole phase where it was like fleeky brows was like a thing, and it's like, how you gonna have fleeky brows, how you gonna have a beat face, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have shadow on fleek, foundation matching the neck and everything. Like, you can't have the whole ensemble, or is it ensemble, ensemble. You can't have everything else looking all right without your brows. So your brows kind of make or break your face because they frame your face for the most part. So I thought this particular how to walk through tutorial step by step would be the most useful right now. So if you guys want to see how I fill in and clean up my brows, keep watching. Guys, let's get started. So first things first, you want to take your spoolie and brush your brows upward in the front, and then you want to brush the tail of your brow in outward direction. So just like I'm doing here, you want to brush the front upwards so that all your hairs are going in the same direction and the tail outwards. So my tip here for you guys would be that if your brows have not been like groomed in a very long time and your hair is growing crazily, you might want to go get them threaded or waxed before, so that it's easier for you to learn how to fill in your brows, because it's very hard to clean up a brow that's untamed. But now you're going to go in with your brown pencil, or depending on your skin tone. I know no one should be using a black pencil because that's entirely too dark. But you're going to go in with your color of choice and line the bottom of your brows. I like to start at the very front of my brow when I do the bottom, and then lightly line my brows. You're just following the natural shape of your brow and creating like an outline. And then tip number 2 here, guys, is kind of a guideline for where your brow should start. Your brow should start right here by your nostril. Your arch should be right about here, and then your brow should end right about there. So when you're learning and practicing, it's no problem to go in and like mark those points so you know kind of how to follow the shape of your brows. So now we're going to do the same exact thing you did on the bottom to the top. The only difference here is you want to start not at the front of your brow, because that's how your brows start to look kind of boxy. So starting about a little bit, not exactly midway. Well, you guys saw where I started. Just wing it. But you don't want to start at the very front. Guys, now that we have our brows lined, we're going to actually go in and fill in our brows now. Here's where you can switch it up. There are brow powders, brow gels, brow pomades. You could use any kind of medium to fill in your brows. Today I'm using the NYX NYX Tame and Frame Pomade in the color, excuse my random dancing, in the color Espresso. So my tip for you guys here would be to start filling in at the end of your brows. Most people, or at least I do, I prefer the ends of my brows to be darker than, of course, the middle and or the front of my brows. So that's tip number 1. Start at the end and start filling it in. Tip number 2 would be try to only place your brush where you have no hair. So that helps you avoid having a brow that's extremely too dark for your color or whatever the case may be. So what I like to do is I try to place my brush where I don't have hair and then drag the product backwards towards the end of my brow. That just helps me make sure that my brows are, sorry y'all, I have music playing in the background. That just helps me make sure that my brows are not extremely too dark and that the product is being distributed evenly throughout my brows. Hey guys, so now I'm going to go in with my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer in the color C12, and I'm going to use that to conceal my brows. I like to think of concealing as sculpting. Think about like you already have, your brow in front of you and you know what you want it to look like. You're going to use the concealer to kind of shape and sculpt out your brows. So I'm using a Morphe concealer brush. I'll have it linked in the description box because I'm not sure what number brush it is, but it is a flat synthetic concealer brush, and those are the best brushes to use to clean up your brows. Okay guys, so now it's time to conceal your brows. Bear with me, this part is kind of hard to explain, but I like to think of concealing your brows as sculpting. Like imagine that your brow is already there and you know what you want it to look like. You just have to use your concealer to like shape and sculpt it out. So I'm going in with that Makeup Revolution concealer, and I'm not putting the concealer in my brows. I'm literally going right up against that line that I made before we started the concealing process, and you're following the natural arch and the natural shape of your brow, or the shape that you created when you use that pencil. Um, I like to go in, change angles, use the edges of the brush, use the tip of your brush. Remember that it's a flat concealer brush, which is why it's a good idea to use those edges to make that line you have as sharp as possible. So I'm just going in and dragging it all the way out. You might lose some coverage. If you really want that full coverage under your eyebrow, just go back in and pick up some concealer. And you really don't need a lot of concealer. Sometimes I don't even take out the applicator of the concealer. I usually just open it and there's like concealer on the like the white part of the wand, and I literally just wipe some off of that and put it on the back of my hand and I'll be good to go. Alright guys, so now it's time to clean up and conceal the top of our brows. I don't like to use a concealer on the top of my brows. I prefer to use the foundation that I'm wearing that day if I am wearing any. So I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Foundation in the shade F14. And you do the same exact thing you did on the bottom of your brows to the top. The only difference here, I like to do the second half of the end half of my brows first. Just watch me and you'll know exactly what I mean. I like to do the second end first, and then I go in with the leftover foundation that's on the brush and I do the front of my brows. I just prefer there to be a lot less product in the front, so that's why I do it. But yeah, once you're done concealing, that is it. Next step is to blend out that foundation and concealer. Alright guys, now that we got the brows concealed, it's time to go in and blend out the concealer. So I'm using the Real Techniques, I think it's an eyeshadow crease brush if I'm not mistaken. Um, so yeah, that's a habit. You'll see me do that a lot here. I like to use multi-functional, make things multi-purpose. I wouldn't be surprised if one day I came on here with a turkey baster to apply foundation or something. Like, if it works, it works. But yes, so you're just going to blend out your concealer. There's one or two ways that I usually blend it out. If I'm doing an eyeshadow look where I really want my colors to pop, I'll just drag the concealer downward onto my eye so that I can use my concealer as a base as well. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm blending it out, blending it over, and then blending it, pulling it down onto my lid. And then the foundation or concealer at the top, I just blend upward to my forehead so that when I apply the rest of my concealer, it just blends seamlessly into that. So yeah, I'm going to go in and just blend, blend, blend. You guys are probably wondering like if that bottom color, the C12 that I put under my brows, a little bit too bright. It is, but because I'm doing a full face and for the purposes of the video, I want you guys to be able to actually see me do it. On a normal day where I don't want it to be this dramatic, I would use my MAC NW45 concealer. You guys can already begin to see the difference in my brows. But okay, so this is the last step, which is optional. But I'm going to go in with one of my small angled brushes. I think I'm going to use my e.l.f. small angled brush. And I'm going to use the IT Cosmetics Brow Power Powder. That is such a tongue twister. Like, why would you even name it? Anyway, and I'm going to use that to fill in the front of my brows where you could still see my skin a little bit, like my true skin tone. And I'm just going to place it there and then drag it backwards into the rest of my brow. I also like to use this powder to redefine the line that we made in the beginning when we first lined our brows, because you can lose the sharpness of that line sometimes when you're cleaning your brow up. So yeah, I just like to lightly go in and use that powder to fill in any missing spots. So yep. Oh, and then I'm going to go through with my spoolie to brush all the product through and make sure all my hairs are still going in the same direction. And there it is. That is how I fill in my brows, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about how I achieved this look and what products I use. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a makeup tutorial, guys. I just went